What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We have some topics to get to today, and the first one is sort of dating back for a couple episodes now, and that is that Monte Morris officially signed to an NBA team. And what I mean by that is going back to a few episodes is that TJ McConnell was somebody that I wanted Denver to try to make a trade for. And with Monte going to the Indiana Pacers, they have a little bit of an abundance of guards there. I know that technically they have 2 point guards on the roster with Halliburton being out, but I believe that they said before the season started that that Andrew Nemhard will be playing the one for them and will be handling the ball majority of the time in that starting unit. McConnell will be their bench guard, but now I'm trying to see where it makes sense to have McConnell and Monte Morris, two really small point guards on the same team. I know that Monte brings the offensive game, but it's not like TJ McConnell can't score the ball. TJ McConnell can score. He just can't shoot as well as Monte. So I guess they're doing it for rotational fit, but I do think that there may be an opportunity for a team like Denver, maybe even a team like the Rockets, who I'll get to in a second, to make a trade for a guy like McConnell if the package is right. Obviously, I would have loved if Denver was able to bring Monte in, but obviously, it didn't work out that way. And I'm glad to see that Monte is continuing to make a name in the NBA and work his way onto rosters. Obviously, there's people I think should be on rosters. There's people I think that shouldn't be on rosters. But I'm happy a guy like Monte is able to stay on a roster. So, like I said, it's a vet point guard off the market for Denver. I think that Denver is going into training camp with the guys that they brought in. They brought in McCoy, they brought in Moses Brown, they brought in Kessler Edwards. Those are the three guys they're going into training camp with. And there must be trust in those two-way guys and Jalen Pickett, I guess, because if not, I think that Denver would have made the smart decision, like we saw and talked about the entire offseason. This management knows what they're doing. They're very smart when it comes to the moves that they've made so far, and I don't think that they're going to hesitate to make a move if they think that it makes Denver better. So maybe they're going with the untraditional lineups and they're going to let the bigs play that guard spot. But like I said, I'm very happy for Monte Morris to be able to actually work his way onto another roster. Obviously, I would have loved him back in Denver, but sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that you want things to work out. So, like I said, another team that could have made it or can still make a move for McConnell is the Houston Rockets. Now, the Rockets are in a tough spot. They paid Fred, they paid KD. Obviously, Şengün, Jabari, all those guys, Amen, are going to either get paid or got paid. So they need to clear cap in order to make a move for a point guard in general, unless they're trading somebody for that point guard. Now, something I saw, which is actually an interesting post, and I think that it might benefit the Nuggets more than it does the Rockets, but it was a mock trade of the Rockets trading Tari Eason for Payne Watson, and even though the cap is very similar, they save $1 million, which I believe allows them to go sign a veteran minimum, which could be a guy like Russ, could be a guy like Alfred Payton, which I believe he's off the market actually, but just any veteran point guard for them to bring in, and you still have Reed Shepherd, you still have Aaron Holiday. Do I think that Aaron Holiday deserves to be in the rotation for a playoff team? No. But like I said, the Tari for Payton Watson trade would be very interesting to me because I think that Tari is a better offensive player, and I think that Watson is the same, type of player as Tari, just not as good offensively, but defensively averaged more blocks. I believe Tari averaged more steals, and I believe he was only averaging 3 or 4 points more than Payton Watson was averaging. So it's not this drastic move that would change the entire Rockets organization. Sure, you lose a little bit of offense in Tari Eason, but if you go out and get a point guard, whether that be Russell Westbrook or a guy like Cam Payne or, and anybody that's a veteran that can make a difference, you're still able to bring in a guard while also replacing Tari with somebody who's close to his level of talent. Like I said, it makes sense for them when it comes to their cap right now. Or they just trade Tari. They only have 7 tradable players, or 6 tradable players, I believe. So, or they're trading Tari, who's the most realistically, the most likely to be moved out of the names. The other guy that could be moved is Reed Shepherd, but I don't see them moving Jabari Smith. I don't see them moving Şengün. I don't see them moving Kevin Durant. So, it's going to be either Reed Shepherd or Tari if they decide to make a move, but who knows? Maybe they stick with where they're at and they just play a big lineup with either KD or Amen handling the ball. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is ESPN's top 100 list came out, or the 100 to 50 came out. And 3 Nuggets were in that 100 to 50, and I know there are going to be some that are a little bit lower. And at the time of this recording, the only thing I saw up to was the 50 mark. So I want to break down where the Nuggets rank before I get to my thoughts on it. Jonas Valanciunas is at 87. He is above, when I say above, I mean better. When I say under, he's technically worse in the eyes of ESPN's ranking system. He is above Naz Reid, former All-Star Aaron Wiggins, PJ Washington, and Peyton Pritchard, and he is under Bradley Beal and Kuminga. And I will get back to that. Like I said, I'm going to go through the list and I'll come back to my thoughts, and that'll be the last topic of today's episode. Cam Johnson is ranked at 67. He is above MPJ, Tyler Hero, Zach LaVine, and Kobe White. And he is under Denny Avdia, Aaron Nesmith, Lou Dort, and LaMelo. And the last Nugget that headlines the list of 100 to 50 is the one and only Christian Brown at 62. And he is over LaMelo, Lou Dort, and Denny, obviously. And he is under Zion, Austin Reeves, Jalen Suggs, Trey Murphy, and Miles Turner. So, like I said, I want to break down how I feel about this list because I'm very happy there are 3 Nuggets that are in the top 50, and one of those being a bench center, which is something that we've never had come close to the top 50. DeMarcus Cousins is the only guy. So, my thoughts on the list so far. Jonas Valanciunas over Naz Reid is actually pretty interesting to me because Naz Reid's a guy who obviously has come in for the Timberwolves and continued to just dominate the Nuggets, and he's a very good bench player. The Andrew Wiggins, I know he fell off a little bit. PJ Washington, but the under Bradley Beal and Kuminga. Kuminga doesn't play much, so I know that maybe you're basing it. I'm not sure what they're basing it off of. Maybe it's potential, but Bradley Beal is only based because of his name. He had a terrible season. He's definitely not better than, realistically, I don't think he's better than PJ Washington right now. I feel like Val, you can make the argument because Val's a backup center, but a guy like Washington, who was a stud in Dallas, who was knocking down threes at an insane clip for them in the playoffs, against a guy like Bradley Beal, who was supposed to be the star on a team that couldn't make the playoffs. Now, Cameron Johnson, over MPJ, over Hero, LaVine, Kobe White, but under Aaron Nesmith, another guy who I think is really good. But I don't see how in any world Aaron Nesmith is better than a guy like Tyler Hero or Zach LaVine. Maybe they're, factoring in Tyler Hero's injuries, but I mean, I still have the, Cam Johnson over MPJ, whatever, so be it. He's a smarter player. But like I said, Lou Dort, Aaron Nesmith, these defensive guys, Denny could make a name for himself. He has the potential to, but I just don't see a world where Zach LaVine and Tyler Hero are under Aaron Nesmith. That's very, not interchangeable, but I guess that is the word, interchangeable to me. I think Nesmith should be way later in that list, in my opinion. And obviously Christian Brown is over LaMelo, Dort, and Denny, but he's under Zion, Reeves, Suggs, Trey Murphy, Miles Turner. Trey Murphy, so be it. Trey Murphy is very underrated. I think he's amazing. Somebody I wanted Denver to bring in. If they did trade MPJ, obviously it didn't work out. Miles Turner, I understand the hype with Miles Turner, but I think that if you watch him in the playoffs, he wasn't top 50 in rebounds in the playoffs as a 7-foot center or 6'10 center who stretches the floor. I know he's a rim protector that could shoot threes, but he was sort of a non-factor in just about every Pacers game. I feel like they were better in minutes with Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant on the floor than they were with Miles Turner. Jalen Suggs, I understand the hype as well, but I think that you look at Christian Brown. Christian Brown makes a difference in the playoffs. I know it's only 15 points per game. This guy's a hustle player, got drafted, came in and helped Denver win a championship. So I know that the hype for these guys like Reeves and Miles Turner are there, but the only two that I could say, and even Zion at that point because of injuries, the only person I could say confidently, and then the people I named that I see as better than Christian Brown, and maybe it's slight bias, is Trey Murphy. I just think that Christian Brown is a difference maker for the Denver Nuggets, and not just the Nuggets in general, but the entire NBA. But like I said, I don't know how they're ranking it, whether it be through potential or whatever the case may be. But that's my take on that list. And like I said, they're going to drop the 50 to 1 obviously pretty soon, if not already, and I'll get to that in a future episode. But that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you guys want me to cover anything, if you want me to break down anything for Denver, and I will get to it. But I will see you guys in the next episode.